Charlotte Motor Speedway is known as one of the most iconic venues in American motorsport, and over 3 weeks starting tonight, we will be challenged. Welcome to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, and welcome to KBRN's live coverage of the first of 3 events of the Charlotte Challenge presented by the Kent State University Sport Administration as the trucks take on the Charlotte Roval. Happy to have you join us for this special 3-week event, and we are certainly ready to have some fun in NASCAR's hometown. And just me, Kenneth Bueno, along here in the booth to call tonight's action here for 30 laps at one of the most interesting road courses we see now on the NASCAR schedule. And really not much of a base to touch on here too much, but we do have 3 races here that are sure to be competitive and so fun to watch. And of course, these 3 races will be crucial, of course, to this event in its entirety, held by Aaron Mulrooney Jr. and definitely going to be a lot of fun. And if you want a little more basic information, here's a little bit just to show you what we're going to be going through over the next 3 weeks, starting with tonight. The NASCAR trucks will be taking on the Charlotte Roval, which you'll be seeing here in tonight's broadcast. And next week, Monday, November 9th, we'll be taking on the dirt street stocks over just a couple of miles, or just a couple of yards, I get a little bit further out to the racetrack at the dirt track at Charlotte. And we'll be taking the dirt street stocks over there for some dirt racing action. Then finally, the 3rd race going to be the NASCAR Cup Series cars at the genuine Charlotte Motor Speedway oval configuration. And we'll have that race 3 races over the span. It's certainly going to be a lot of fun. And right now, qualifying is just about to end, but I'm usually accompanied by somebody in the booth. But since I'm not, I'm going to be actually bringing the owner of the event into here. That's Aaron Mulrooney Jr. Going to bring him in, see exactly what his thoughts are about. And Aaron, I know that this event kind of came up within the past couple of weeks. You started this event here, of course, with the Kent State University Sport Administration here. Just walk us through the idea of this event and really what you wanted to come up with that really started the idea for this.
Yeah, Kenneth, honestly, my father works at Kent State University, so he was working with the sport administration group, and he said, oh, why don't you come up with an iRacing event for, I believe, their event planning class. So came to me and wanted me to get a group of guys together for racing and have you as our broadcaster, since you're a well-known broadcaster within the iRacing community, and just come together and have some good hard racing and kind of just learn more about iRacing and honestly what it's about, since it's getting more into the future. You know, we're getting more virtual with racing and all of that, so that's what we're doing it for.
And of course, you make a great point. Obviously, there's no question that esports, and especially iRacing, is starting to grow to a level which we have really never seen before. But more about this event specifically, the fact that it's at Charlotte, one of NASCAR's most iconic venues, was it really just a simple answer just to go for Charlotte and to go for how diverse this venue is? Or you kind of had some other options in the mix before you decided to elect on Charlotte Motor Speedway for these events?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We kind of just tried to diversify, since Charlotte Motor Speedway was what I would consider to be the hub of motor racing in NASCAR. So I figured, you know, if you could do this, you know, this sort of like round robin event, it would end up panning well, because most of the people on iRacing have the Charlotte Motor Speedway because it's a free track. So, you know, it's kind of a conclusion. No one wants to really spend much money, and they'd rather do something that's free and enjoyable. So that's why we chose these 3 tracks.
Well, Aaron, I know the drivers are starting to grid on the track, so we're going to get to that shortly. But just before we let you go, Aaron, of course, is there any way that anyone can really find you out on social media or anything more about this event, any more information they can get you or contact you or reach you out from?
They can contact me through Aaron Mulrooney Jr. at gmail.com. And actually, we're going green right now, so it's a bit of a predicament. Contact me, Aaron Mulrooney Jr. at gmail.com. So my social media is just at Aaron Mulrooney Jr. On Instagram. That's where I can do most of my promotions and anything you need for this event. Discord, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, Kenneth. Was just kind of just within the iRacing community. I'll see if I can reach out to more guys and see if we can have better turnout next week.
All right, Aaron, we're under the green flag now. Unfortunately, we kind of missed that due to just the interview itself, but obviously we thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck, of course, in these 3 events, and obviously for holding this entire thing.
Yep, thanks, Kenneth. Have fun broadcasting.
That's Aaron Mulrooney Jr., owner of the event. Obviously, we just got the green flag. This is Vicente Salas at the front of this field. Dylan Alt did have the pole, but he did lose it immediately after the drop of the green flag. Vicente Salas now up to a lead by just a couple of car lengths over Dylan Alt. We did not go over the starting grid, but here is the rest of the field, at least for reference. Obviously, there's Vicente Salas. There's Dylan Alt behind him. Sartaj Mon is also in this. Charlie Baier, Joe Berge, Nick Miller, Cole Williams, Alexander Russell, Shane DiMantova, Aaron Mulrooney himself, of course, and Michael DiMaggio. Currently your 11-car field right now as it stands. And we were just going to have a little more pre-race coverage, but had some technical difficulties to follow along before we went live. So unfortunately, we cannot really go over a lot of the information that we probably would have before we jumped to the green flag. But nonetheless, we are still under race conditions now, and probably won't be no yellow flags on this racetrack. Of course, with the iRacing road courses, you do not have yellow flags to couple with anything. If you have a small little incident, it'll be constituted as a local yellow. Will not necessarily have a full course yellow unless something large happens around the racetrack or something seems to be or pose a danger to the drivers on the racing line if an incident does happen. You saw Vicente Salas kind of tap the wall a little bit there, but slowly Dylan Alt has been trying to reel him in. It's been tough. It's about a second between the two now as they're starting to get to the backstretch chicane. And they've kind of already put up a gap, about 5 seconds over to Sartaj Mon in the 49, who's leading about a 4-car breakaway with Charlie Baier. The 83 of Joe Berge as the 7 overshoots the backstretch chicane. He's going to have to slow down, give up the time that might have been gained. He's going to fall a couple positions as there's a huge group now fighting way behind with Cole Williams and Alexander Russell there as well. See already this large group of trucks here, starting with Cole Williams. Saw Charlie Baier did fall a couple of spots back. There's Shane DiMantova, the number 69. There's Aaron Mulrooney Jr. himself. There's Michael DiMaggio a little bit further back. There's Charlie also trying to sneak by as he's letting him by, but this group seems to be some of the closest that we're seeing on the track at the moment until maybe you get to Joe Berge and the 49 of Sartaj Mon. Remember, a lot of these drivers, if you've seen them before, if you've been watching the KBueno Racing Network, is Berge just straight into the barrier. I'm not sure whether he might have overshot, but he had a tough situation there, I believe, trying to get by Sartaj and had a hard contact into the barrier on the outside. Unfortunate. You see now he's got damage on, and even more now hitting the wall to on the other side there, trying to get back to the oval section. And oh man, just very, very unfortunate. That seems to be some of the biggest incident we've seen already, lap number 3. Salas continues to lead. He's now approaching the front stretch chicane, and there's Alt just a little bit further back. I think he might have just closed in just a little bit, but maybe not too much on that number 14. And we've seen the 14 do so well in a couple of leagues. Have yet to really see him on the KBueno Racing Network too much, apart from if you saw him pick up the win at Redline Racing League of Martinsville just, I believe, last Thursday, where he picked up the win there. We did broadcast that event on this channel, so if you've seen that event, you should be familiar with that 14 Elliott Sadler Esports driver. Dylan Alt behind him has been in a couple of races that we've seen in the Bunch of Lawn Care Series. He was in the Clash just a couple of weeks back, just about 2 weeks back when he was there. Lots of drivers here that are recognizable from this channel. If you've watched some of the races, you would know some of these drivers, at least how they've been. There's Nick Miller, the number 88. He's now gotten in front of Cole Williams and I believe the 9 of Russell. He's already gone by. There's Mulrooney trying to get there. And you see how treacherous this track really is. It is not necessarily a permanent road course. It's more so kind of a mix between the two. You have parts of the oval. You have parts of these road course little increments here. You see now as they get to the backstretch chicane. This is on board with Mulrooney. And especially at a track like this, it's so precision based. You have to really keep yourself composed. You have to really keep at every little corner, every little turn, every little braking spot. You have to maximize. With the tracks like these, mistakes can really cost you. As Williams continues to lead this 3-truck train as Charlie tries to recuperate from what happened a little bit earlier from the overshot or the overshoot of the backstretch chicane. And while we're under the green flag, was going to do this pre-race, but instead I guess we'll do this now since we do have a green flag racing currently sitting right now. We're going to look at where we exactly are in the virtual world as you look to North Carolina. And start zooming in all the way to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is where will take place all 3 events. You see there's the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You see right next to it is the dirt track at Charlotte. And you see there's the information there about the Roval. This is how it is, 17 turns, about 2.2 miles. And of course, they had a reconfiguration in 2019 after the 2018 race where they did change the backstretch chicane to allow for a better braking zone for the drivers. At least can make better passing opportunities when it comes to that. So that's one of the more interesting things about this course, and especially it's a recent addition to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Vicente still now leading over Dylan All. They're just about 1.5 seconds, I believe, at the line, about 1.6. Yes, indeed, 1.657, and all 12 seconds behind the Sarchajman in the 49. Seeing a lot of separation, at least for the most part, until you get to Cole Williams. And I did see Mulrooney actually fell back. I'm not sure whether a mistake might have been the result of that, but he was right behind Russell and Williams before this incident here. We might take a replay, see exactly what might have happened to the two, see exactly whether he might have had a mistake going into one of these corners, and actually did. Actually went around here on the exit of the infield workhorse. This is him right behind the number 9 of Alexander Russell, and then just a little bit loose, had to lock the brakes. Oh, Charlie Baier gets so close. Almost got contact. He's able to whip it back around. Shane Mantova found his way through. And Mulrooney now falls to 9th. When you look at this Charlotte Challenge, you really look at the 3 different disciplines that this will accompany. Of course, you have the road course with the trucks, which are very interesting combo. They did run this at Road to Pro. If you watch Road to Pro, if you're familiar with Road to Pro, and they're running, it's kind of the echelon to go up to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. They start with these NASCAR trucks, and they go across different tracks on the NASCAR schedule, but they do go to the Roval, which is one of the tracks that they don't go to in the Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series in real life. So it's one of the more interesting setup and car and track combos where you have a car that or a vehicle that doesn't necessarily go on this track in real life, and you can take it here in the iRacing service and kind of see how that feels and how that setup could work. Of course, now they do have setups for the Roval for fixed setups, so obviously that does help now with iRacing implementing that. And then obviously next week, going to the dirt street stocks at the dirt track at Charlotte. That's also going to be one of the more interesting combos that we see, especially since the dirt track is also just a little bit far out of this racetrack. It's not too far out, just a little bit outside of the racetrack. But you get there, also an infamous venue, hosted a lot of dirt events. Seeing the dirt street stocks there, one of the base cars that you get when you get an iRacing subscription. You get that dirt street stock for free, so you can go whip that around at some of the free dirt tracks such as Lanier. You can go to USA Dirt, you go to Limaland, one of the more recent additions, as might have seen all with a little bit of right side damage on that truck. I'm not sure whether he might have scraped a wall somewhere, but he didn't have not too much damage. I don't think that'll affect him too harshly. He has, though, caught up to Vicente just a little bit. It was about 1.7 seconds just a couple of laps prior. It's now down to 1.3. So Alt is certainly carving into this lead a little bit, staying consistent with Salas. Last time, Salas hit a 121.1, Alt hit a 120.9. So he certainly is picking up the pace now as we're starting to get later into this race. Going to look back to third, where actually might have seen Sartaj fall out, and actually did have an incident there. I'm not sure what might have happened with Sartaj, but had an incident where he went down to pit road. Going to look forward and see what might have been. He's just on pit road the past couple laps here. And here's actually, might have been the case. You see him a little bit loose off the front straightaway. This is in a turn 1, and oh man, I don't even think he touched the brakes there at all. He just went straight into the barrier. That allows Nick Miller to come up to third. And speaking of which, he almost gets spun around there by himself as Cole Williams now tries to find his way to the outside. So they'll be in the NASCAR 3 and 4 side by side, all the way down to the front stretch chicane. Not sure how this is going to work. Who's going to back out? None of them backing out, but maybe Cole giving a little bit of space there. Might have been equal there. Off the chicane, going to go into turn 1. Miller, though, holds position for third. You're looking a little bit further back. This is the top 5. There's Charlie Baier back into the mix. So after that little mistake early in this race, he's now caught up. And he's now back up to the top 5. Going to try to hunt down 42 in the 88 as Alexander Russell has fallen back to 6. Mulrooney has stayed in 7th. Has not picked up any positions. The 8th into Shane DiMantova, the number 69 machine. He's still there as well. Still under the green flag though, and you're looking as all a little bit loose there. Had to really check up, and all gonna still stay in second. I think that gap that he cut down to is gonna fall. It's gonna grow now even larger due to this. And now these drivers do have to make one fuel stop before the end of this race, so we will see some pit strategy along the way. Of course, without any yellows to couple with this, we won't see any yellows really affecting the strategy. We'll just see the pit strategy happen, usually under the green flag. Should anything not happen that's very large in terms of a large pileup that could cause an admin caution, or the officials will decide to throw the yellow flag. But there will be pit strategy involved. We will see drivers go down pit road at least once during this race, so we will see the leaders. We might see some other drivers try undercutting. Maybe try the overcut as Nick Miller's around on the front straightaway with damage to the left side. Maybe his race could be over for good. And we're going to take a look as Miller had a moment there. Oh, I'm not really sure what happened there. This is down to the front stretch chicane. He did lose spots, and then I'm not sure, just cut that section, and after that just went around. And I think his race is now done with for sure. Boy, I'm not sure what's happening. Saw Sartaj Mon go straight into the Tums Heartburn turn barrier. Now seeing Dylan all on the grass, getting the most he can on that front stretch chicane. Saw Nick Miller go straight around on the front straightaway. I'm really not sure what's going on. Now Miller, Sartaj, Michael DiMaggio, and Joe Berge are now officially out of this race for good. So that leaves just 7 trucks out there on the track. So that does move up position. Cole Williams now goes up to the podium spot in 3rd. Charlie Baier will be 4th. Alexander Russell will pick up to 5th. Mulrooney will skip up to 6th, and DiMantova will be 7th. He's the last car on the racetrack, currently about 56 seconds behind your race leaders. He's now just exiting the backstretch chicane. Vicente Salas now entering NASCAR 1 and 2 on the route to the backstretch chicane. Now, if you did watch the KBueno Racing Network coverage of the LWC NASCAR Cup Series from this very track, I believe it was just yesterday where we broadcasted it around the afternoon, saw 30 laps here just as well. Drivers did have to pit, and we did see the Cup Series cars take on the course. Saw Parker White take a win there in that series. So if you did watch KBueno Racing Network, you have seen some coverage of the Charlotte Roval. We did go here in the Bunch of Lawn Care Series not too long ago. The winner was Brody Garner. Unfortunately, Brody Garner's not here tonight. He would have been one of the strongest drivers if he was here for this challenge, at least for this race in race number 1. So now Salas still over Alt. Alt's now closing, I believe, to about 1.3 seconds the last time by. So he's starting to pick back up from where he left off. Had that little mistake. Lost him a little bit of time, but I think now he's starting to pick up the pieces and get back to work. And he's now starting to carve into that lead slowly but surely as we might be approaching the fuel cycle, at least this pit stop cycle, where we see drivers go down pit road for fuel, for tires maybe as well. See, the tire wear does affect these trucks a lot more. So not much really going on the racetrack apart from just amount of separation. Just these small mistakes really affecting the driver's performance. We really haven't seen too much damage from Aaron Mulrooney's machine. Saw him add a little bit of spin earlier, but does not have any damage, I don't believe, from anything on the wall. He's been one of the cleanest trucks. Manitoba has a fairly damaged race truck. Maybe Alexander Russell has a little crinkle on the right front. Charlie has some damage as well, but he's still holding strong. Of course, Cole Williams also, I think, no damage to that race truck, so he's still relatively clean. He's still yet to have any contact with anything on this racetrack just yet. I'm going to take a look. This is on board with Vicente Salas. This is just one lap around the Charlotte Roval. So down to the infield road course. You can see just how hard this track really is. So flat. Don't really have much elevation, but then here it really all changes. Going down in this right-hander, up the hill, reaching the crest right about here at a right-hander, trying to put the gas in as it goes downhill. Have to make that downhill left-hander all the way up to the wall. Try to get as close as you can. And slowing down, trying to get close to that barrier up to NASCAR 1 and 2. Full throttle through here, and you do have a lot of grip there. You're not going as fast, and right here, hard braking into the chicane here, trying to get the most curve as you can to rotate the car. And right off, put the gas back in, get to that wall on the left side. Continue up, down in NASCAR 3 and 4 here. You might have to put a little bit less gas as you're trying to rotate through the corner. Up through the gears. Now hard on the brakes right to the entry. Clip the gas just a little bit to get the entry. And then clip the curbs right here. Get the rotation right off the corner. Smash the gas. And you're now on the front straightaway where you just completed a lap, basically. That's Vicente. That last time was a 119.3. That was 3/10 quicker than Dylan Alt. So he's still putting up laps. Might have been a little bit slower this time, but actually, no, did not set a 119.3. That was the best time we've seen so far. It was a 121.8, but still faster. About, I'd say, 3/10 or so. As then in the background, Alexander Russell has gone around. We're going to take a replay. This is off the backstretch chicane. See him hard on the brakes. He did not miss a corner, though, but I think just trying to put the gas in on exit. There it is. Just spins the car around, trying to slow it down. Squares it with the outside wall. And he's now gone back, but he has gone down pit road, so he is now the only truck down a pit road, getting that damage fixed. Also to complete that cycle. I don't think we've seen anyone else go down pit road, actually, apart from that number 9 of Russell. So he will start this pit cycle. Interesting call by him. Maybe he just had that damage, decided it was enough, and went down to pit road. And also to top off as we're now halfway through this race. As Salas now gets to lap traffic. This is going to be interesting, though, getting around Shane DiMantova. Oh, DiMantova's down to the outside wall. Will he let Alt by? I think he will. So DiMantova now put one lap down in this exchange. I think it might be a signal for him to go down pit road. He's still fighting, though, but we'll just have to see. As I think, actually, no, Russell, a little update on Russell. He has now just exited from this race, so he is now in the garage. I think his day is done for sure. And he got that damage. I was presuming that he might have gone down pit road to get that damage fixed and to just go get fuel and tires along the way, just to be on that pit strategy, be good to the end of the race. But I guess he just decided to end his night here at lap number 15, halfway through this event. Actually, Charlie Baier now down pit road, so he starts his pit cycle. I don't think he had any extra damage, so I don't think his race will be over for sure, but he will go down pit road and get into his stall. So Charlie Baier going to be the first driver to enter pit road on the pit strategy. And now Alt's going to head down pit road as well. Salas did stay out, so Alt down pit road. Cole Williams will see. Mulrooney has yet to pit. DiMantova is now just pitting. So it's Vicente, Cole, and Aaron Mulrooney are the last drivers to pit. Vicente did stay out that extra lap. Alt down a pit road. Cole Williams is now about to get there, so we'll see if he does go down pit road. Charlie Baier, I believe, just exited, so he's now out in 5th. There's Cole Williams off turn 3 and 4, NASCAR oval. We'll see if he actually does decide to go down pit road, and indeed he does. Hard on the brakes, gonna get to the pit entry cone, and he's now in a pit road. So last driver to pit, I believe, is just Vicente Salas now. He's the only driver, along with Aaron Mulrooney, that is yet to pit. Maybe Mulrooney will take his shot this time by, and we'll see. And if he does, that will allow Vicente to be the only driver. And actually, Mulrooney does stay out. So Vicente and Mulrooney gonna be the drivers to stay out here as Alt exits pit road. Williams is now still on pit road. Dimantova's getting his damage fixed. Cole's getting his service. I believe he'll be out soon. He'll be out shortly. There's Charlie Baier out to the left of the screen. You see him now approaching that front stretch chicane, so he'll pick up 4th. There goes Cole out of pit road. Mulrooney decides to stay out, and there goes Vicente Salas now down a pit road. So leader down pit road, Mulrooney has yet to pit now. So Vicente down a pit road. Mulrooney has decided to stay out, but he does get leapfrogged by Dylan Alt, who went down pit road. So maybe Alt could be the driver to potentially carry the race lead. I think the answer might be yes, as now he's approaching the front straightaway into turn 1. Vicente still down pit road. New leader Dylan Alt as he gets by on the pit strategy. Let's see if he can hold on to the end of this race, and the distance could be the biggest factor. There's Vicente out of pit road now. Mulrooney has yet to pit. There goes Cole and Charlie all together. Cole gets by on the fresher tires. Mulrooney, will he pit? The answer to that question will be yes. He'll be the last one to pit into P number 3. And Dylan Alt takes over the race lead from Vicente Salas. And what a move down pit road for that number 8. This is probably the only way he could get by. I mean, you're looking at the battle here as those two were kind of close together all race long, but if you can't get by them on speed, if you can't get by them on the racetrack, it's better to get by them on pit road and make that pit strategy call and potentially give yourself the win off of that exchange. Dylan Alt might just have that, but we'll see if Vicente is able to carve into the lead. There's still about 13 laps to go, so there's still a good amount of time until we get to the end of this race, and that could be the time that Vicente needs in order to catch up to that number 8. He does have the fresher tires. All did pit, I think, a couple of laps earlier in this race, so that 14 does have advantage, pitting a little bit later. Cole Williams goes to 3rd. Mulrooney has gone down to pit road. He's now exited, so he exits in 5th. Dimantova, last driver. He's currently sitting 6th right now. Just trying to hold on to what he can for the most part. $12 laps to go from the Charlotte Roval. So now the gap is about 2.1 seconds between Salas and Alt. Last time it was 3.2 seconds. As soon as they got to the line, Vicente starting to close in just a little bit. But I'm not sure whether it is too strong in order to catch Alt within these final laps or so, within these final 10 or so laps, as Alt is into the outside wall. Never mind about the battle. He is done, as he is now out of the racetrack. He's now done for good. Vicente, I think, is also out as well. Actually, no, Vicente's still on the track, but heard some more contact around the racetrack as Alt wrecks in the backstretch chicane. That leaves 5 drivers now on the racetrack, as Vicente now will inherit the race lead with just 11 laps to go at the line. So now this will give Cole Williams 2nd, Charlie Baier 3rd. That will be your podium unless anything else happens and any more drivers get taken out or any drivers have more mistakes down the road. Salas now, I believe, about 42 seconds over Cole Williams. So Salas easily running away with this. Easily the most dominant car, the dominant truck tonight. He's been really the best out of all of these drivers so far, and he's really just holding on. Alt was really the only competition. So we'll just see what happens now in these next 10 laps. Just a matter of waiting, I think, at that point. There's Cole Williams. You see the distance there. There's Cole just getting out of the backstretch chicane. Charlie Baier just following suit, just a couple seconds behind. So that is the distance, about half a track, I'd say, between those two. So Salas now just has to hold on these final 10 laps, make something stick, and just take a win here in the Charlotte Challenge in the first event on the road course. Vicente, one of those road course ringers. He's been very, very successful at road courses. He's also been very successful at the short tracks. If you pay attention to the Red Line Racing League, he has taken a win at the road course. So when they went to a road course there, he took the win at the other short tracks. Those have been his 4 wins that season. His most recent coming at Martinsville, which you can catch on the KBueno Racing Network. That was just about a week ago, about a couple of days ago on last Thursday. Catch that live stream on the KBueno Racing Network as well. As Salas now slowly getting to Shane DiMantovo, might put him 2 laps down on the circuit. Mulrooney sitting 4th, Baier sitting 3rd, Cole Williams sitting 2nd. Cole Williams just trying to hold on to what he can, finish 2nd. They do get some incentives for being in these races, especially if you win these races. You do get a prize for winning this race. You do get prizes for being the points champion. You get prizes for doing any of this here in the Charlotte Challenge. If you do win, you get $20. It is $100 for the champion of the series. So out of 3 races, we'll have a point system. $100 will be rewarded to the champion at the end of those 3 races. And of course, in the championship, we'll have $50 to 2nd place and $30 to 3rd. So the podium finishers in the championship will get money. And of course, the winners of each race will get money as well. So Vicente en route to possibly getting a win and some money along the way with this win here at the Roval. 9 laps to go now, almost 8, as he's going to cross the start-finish line here shortly. Salas now just 8 laps to go. Gap is up to 47 seconds. And you see where Cole Williams is at now off NASCAR turn 2, getting to the backstretch chicane. Cole Williams, one of those drivers that we've seen a lot on the KBueno Racing Network. And if you've been watching the KBueno Racing Network, you know where Cole Williams has been. You've seen him on the broadcast at least once or twice. He's one of those drivers that's been active in the LWC NASCAR Cup Series. He's chasing a championship on that front. He won the final race of the Bunge Lawn Care Series Season 2 at Phoenix. Took the win there. Has been involved in a lot of the races that are seen on this network specifically. And again, making another appearance here on the truck side of things. A member of Veal Media Racing after being a part of Going Low Racing with Lane Stevens, Aiden Kirker, Dominic Mulhern. Those drivers were on that team together. But then the 42, or at least Going Low Racing, decided to merge with Veal Media Racing, creating that team together, as Williams and Kirker and Lane Stevens have made their way to the team, and they've started to drive for that team. And you see the new colors on that 42. Has been repping that very recently. Veal Media Racing light blue with some of the sponsors alongside the race truck. And there's Charlie Baier sitting 3rd right now. All these drivers now just, the plan is just to hold on for as long as you can. There's Shane DiMantovo going down pit road. Not sure whether his night is over, whether he's just getting service, and he's now taking some tires on pit road. I mean, 2 laps down for him now. Just has to go through these next couple of laps in order to take that victory. So next time around, we will be at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The dirt track at Charlotte, we'll have the dirt street stock coverage there. That'll be next week, Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Broadcast could start just a little bit earlier for pre-race festivities and all that, but race will most notably happen at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll have coverage for you live on the KBueno Racing Network, and then right after on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll have the iRacing Bunch and Lawn Care Series starting their season in the iRacing Bunch and Lawn Care Series, the 200 at Daytona International Speedway. That first race and every race from then on out in that season will be broadcasted right here on the KBueno Racing Network. We'll have coverage all season long as we continue our journey with them. It's always been great broadcasting that series and having so many drivers a part of that league, having the cooperation. So we'll have coverage of that once we start that next week, Monday night. And we'll continue on through the 16th and so on. As now you're looking at, there's Mulrooney right there in front of Vicente Salas. Mulrooney could be put a lap down here, as Mulrooney currently sitting 4th with 6 laps to go. Vicente now just hitting his marks, has done practically everything perfect tonight. And there's Mulrooney now just exiting the infield workhorse. He's at risk of getting put a lap down on the racetrack. Charlie Baier, Cole Williams still along, just holding on where they are. Dimantova has not exited pit road. I think he is just standing there. So I think his race might just finish where he is right now on pit road instead of making some laps around the track. So that could possibly just leave 4 trucks out on the racetrack and maybe 3 on the lead lap if that 14 does get around the 2. There's Vicente around Mulrooney, so Mulrooney gets put 1 lap down. He most likely will stay in 4th, will not get any sort of lucky dog, and no yellows will be placed on the racetrack for sure, probably throughout these final 5 or so laps. So that will be where Mulrooney will finish tonight. Baier and Williams, not sure whether Baier will get put a lap down. He's now exiting the infield workhorse. Vicente is now in the middle of that section, about to get there. So maybe you could see Baier get put a lap down as well. Vicente just holding on, just continuing his stride, just doing the best he can to continue his run and earn some money along the way. $20 to the winner, so he will walk away $20 richer with this win. Now 4 laps to go as he's crossing the start-finish line out of the front straight chicane. Start-finish line now. 4 laps to go from Charlotte. Oh, Charlie Baier might have had a mistake there. We'll take a replay, see exactly what might have happened with that 7, and actually had a significant mistake. Could put him a lap down here very soon. You see him now entering this section, then just went a little bit too deep, went into the grass. Might have tagged that barrier, and indeed he does. Not sure whether he picked up any more damage. I don't think he did. It was just a light tap, and then continues on his route. But he is still at risk of being put a lap down before this race is all said and done. As now Baier almost around on the backstretch chicane. Just holding on now. There's Vicente a little bit further back. Vicente en route to winning this race. Baier just, at this point, sitting in 3rd. Dimantova sitting in 5th. He will just finish there on pit road for now. Heard some contact a little bit further back. Not sure whether that was Charlie Baier or what, but Did hear some contact to the outside wall, maybe somewhere on this racetrack. Not sure whether that was from Vicente himself or from anyone else. As Baier now around right in front of the leader. He'll get away from the racing line as he spins to the grass. Now he's a lap down. Mulrooney actually might get by. This is 4th position, so Mulrooney indeed will get by to 3rd. So Charlie falls back to 4th in that exchange. Remember, these two drivers are lap down, but this is 4th position for a podium spot. Could set the tone for the rest of the way if they do attend the next 2 races, as Vicente just got 4 laps to go at the line. Vicente now to the front stretch chicane. Just need 3 more times around this 2.24 mile road course. 17 turns. Now 3 laps to go for him. Baier has fallen back. Mulrooney now to 3rd, so he's gotten a good gap there. Cole Williams might just cling on to 2nd. He might just clinch 2nd place as Mulrooney's just way too far behind. And Cole Williams is on the lead lap, so Williams is just most likely gonna clinch this 2nd place. Vicente will possibly clinch 1st place should everything stay put, should nothing go wrong from here on out. As Baier now goes around again. Another incident on the Tums Hartberg turn. This is the exit of turn number 1. This is the replay here, and hard on the brakes, went to the curbing, and then, oh man, got clipped by the wall. Went around, just tried his best to get around, put the gas in, and there he goes back. So Baier, as he goes around once more, it's went from bad to worse for that 7 machine, and he's still going, he's still trooping, he still has not exited the racetrack yet. He's still gonna try and do whatever he can, finish 4th. It is practically locked in since Dimantova, 7 laps down on pit road. As Salas gets by once again, he'll cross the line with just 2 laps to go from the Charlotte Roval. 2 more times, and he's going to be a winner. Vicente has done everything right tonight in this race. Willie has not had any significant mistakes. Got through that pitch strategy the best way he can. Did lose the lead momentarily to Dylan Alt. But as soon as he did, he picked it back up on the fresh tires. Got by the 8 as he had that mistake on the backstretch chicane. Easily went by. And will now hold on for a win within these next 2 laps, as Williams is now a minute behind. A full minute behind Vicente Salas on the racetrack, as Salas gets on the backstretch chicane. Williams now exiting NASCAR 4. Maybe could see that number 42 go a lap down before this thing is all said and done. Baier is down pit road, so he'll get his damage fixed, or possibly could be parking it for the night. He'll lock 4th place in for tonight's finish, as Vicente off of NASCAR turn 4, and he'll come around and he'll take the white flag one more time around. For Vicente Salas, just needs to get this done. 17 more turns from the Roval. Baier now out of pit road. He got, I believe, a fast repair. He got everything fixed, so he's not out of pit road, but he is 1 lap down. Could go 2 laps down, as Vicente going around has been perfect all race long, has yet to pick up any damage whatsoever, which is a feat, especially at a track like this where any little mistake can give you any sort of damage, and the walls are everywhere. Williams now to the backstretch chicane, so he'll cross the white flag this time by. By the way, I got a question from Noah. Says, how do we get into this? Well, you can contact Aaron Mulrooney at I believe aaronmulrooney@gmail.com. You can also contact him on Discord. His username is A Mulrooney Jr. with a hashtag number, I believe. You cannot look for, but you can contact Aaron Mulrooney, or you can apply on the league page. Look for the Charlotte Challenge as Vicente Salas comes across the line. He is the winner here for the Charlotte Challenge, round number 1 at the Charlotte Roval. Cole Williams is now just coming around and getting off of the infield road course, so he is definitely going to finish second. Mulrooney will finish third. Baier will come on the fourth. Mantova will be the only driver to finish on the racetrack. Everybody else has DNF'd, but they will finish in their respective spots as Salas now parked to the front straightaway. He's now out. As Williams gets around, he will finish this as well. Mulrooney will now stop on the racetrack. He's gone by the line. I think these two have yet to really cross the start-finish line yet. But Vicente Salas is a winner. He'll walk away $20 richer here from the Charlotte Roval. Going to take a quick break, and once we do, we'll have our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC, and we'll have interviews with the top 3, and of course your race winner Vicente Salas tonight, and we'll have just a little more recap before we get on and wrap up the broadcast, and we'll go over to race 2 for the Dirt Street Stocks next week. So stay tuned. We've got more coming next. You're watching the Charlotte Challenge right here live on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Charlotte Roval, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. It was 30 laps here at the Charlotte Roval in the 17-turn road course to get this thing done. Nonetheless, Vicente Salas comes home $20 richer as we're back with the Charlotte Challenge presented by Kent State University Sport Administration on race number 1 out of the 3. And out of all the drivers here tonight, it was Vicente Salas taking a victory, and we're going to bring him in from victory lane. See exactly what his thoughts are after tonight's victory. And Vicente, I think, to dominating fashion was probably an understatement here for you tonight. 29 laps led. You only had one lead change to Dylan all under the pit strategy, but ever since you picked up from there, took the race lead, and ever since you pretty much walked away with this victory. First of all, tell us how this means now that you're $20 richer after a win tonight.
I mean, I'll take it. It was a really fun race. It was really fun there running under pressure from Dylan for most of the race. I don't really know what happened to him. I thought he played the right strategy by pitting early, because I mean he literally had 5 seconds. I mean I was like, dang, I don't know if I'll be able to make this up with 1 lap fresher tires. And I guess just as the 2 laps went by that I was behind him, we just started catching, and we finally passed him. So.
Yeah, and that strategy, especially with Alt, was very interesting because you guys were easily the fastest trucks out on the racetrack, and Alt might have had a case for you. Of course, unfortunately that mistake there on the back straightaway really cost him the race and set him out of this. But especially through this course specifically, I think now you had, especially in that near end part of this race, you had a lot of time by yourself on the racetrack. Of course, you did lap Aaron Mulrooney, you lapped Charlie Baier in the process, but also you were just kind of running by yourself on the racetrack, hitting your marks. What was really the hardest challenge, or what was really the most notable thing that you saw in your racetrack as you were going around this road course for all those times before you took the victory?
I think one like really key part for me was hopping Dylan on the start. That really allowed me to get out front and get that clean track. And I think just really figuring out the little quirks with this setup and just the style of driving you had to put in to be fast. So I think just as the laps went on, I got more and more comfortable with the setup, which just allowed me to click off better laps.
Certainly did click off the better laps and took home a victory here tonight from the Charlotte Roval. Vicente, before we let you go from victory lane, is there really anyone you just like to shout out, team sponsors, or anyone else you'd just like to give thanks to for tonight's win?
Yes, I'd love to thank everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports, Josh Kosick for the beautiful paint, Stroker Industries, Musgrave Racing Co., Factory Carts USA, Hansky Gloves, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
We certainly appreciate the time, Vicente, and of course, congratulations. You're now $20 richer of being the race winner here from the Charlotte Roval and the Charlotte Challenge, and we hope to see you next week at the dirt track at Charlotte for the Dirt Street Stock race, and of course, we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Vicente Salas out of the booth. He is your winner from the Charlotte Roval here in round number 1 of the Charlotte Challenge. Going to kick back to second, where EO Media Racing driver Cole Williams finds his way to second. We'll bring him in as I'm running down the pit road, now out of breath. This Cole Williams bringing you down, and you finished second here tonight. I know that it was kind of a crazy race because you were kind of a little bit further back. You were battling with Charlie Baier. You had Alexander Russell around you. You had a lot of drivers around you on the racetrack in the early portion of the race. All of a sudden, they start to dwindle down, and then you're separated with everyone else on the racetrack. Just kind of walk us through your night and walk us through your race specifically and how you were feeling about the race truck.
Yeah, man, it was just survival of the fittest. I figured it would be that way at the Roval. That's how these races always end up. I was really surprised. Me and Charlie and Shane were really surprised that we only had like 5 people until the last 5 minutes to show up. And it was still fun to just have fun and race around this track. Until Charlie, I think he spun once, and it kind of gave a bunch of time, and then from there he was kind of off. Being able to pass me, but it was nice to have a little bit of an excitement until he messed up eventually when he was behind me. Just I don't really like to take these high finishing positions just from attrition, but I knew that's how the Roval kind of works. My goal was top 10 because I figured maybe 30 people would show up, and a lot of them would be high I rating and good guys especially on the road, and 11 people showed up. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna try to finish and try not to get as many X's, or least amount of X's as possible besides off tracks. And I kept my car completely clean, so I mean that's success. P2, of course, Vicente, eventual pro, coming here and whooping all of us and lapping almost everyone and beating me by an entire minute. So I wasn't even surprised by that. But I definitely probably should watch back some of his replay and see kind of just a little bit of where I could gain. I felt like I did a really good job with the tires as well, because at the very end of the run, I was almost like a rocket ship, man. I was going. The only time I would give up time is when I'd try to get a little bit too greedy on the throttle on that backstretch chicane, kind of how Nick Miller ended up ending his race, because every single time he went through there, he kept either barely almost getting that wall or barely just touching that trilogy wall, and he would just go wide, and I'd gain time on him, and I thought maybe we were gonna have a long race battle like we did in Bundren, but that didn't end up happening because he just got bored and left probably after he destroyed his truck. So overall, it was a fun time. I learned a little bit, and just happy to be P2, now that I get some points. So when we show up next week, hopefully we'll get a bigger show. I think it's going to be B cars at Charlotte, the Oval. So I'll just be in a better points position to earn that possibly $100.
Well, in terms of that, actually, the next time we'll see this challenge, it'll be the Dirt Street Stocks at the dirt track at Charlotte. So it'll be a dirt race, and I know that in terms of my personal experience racing around you, I know you're very good on dirt. I know you've kind of liked dirt a lot, but tell us what this transition now will mean for you. How will it be now to transfer from a entirely different vehicle at a road course to go into a whole different discipline and the dirt street stocks next week?
I didn't know that. It'll definitely be difficult. You know, I got a lot of good teammates at EMR, especially Lane Stephen, my cousin, who's the go under. I think especially Keelan Bosha as well. I'll have to get some pointers from that track. But I like you said, I love dirt racing, and I feel like Street Stocks is probably my best car on dirt. So I've definitely have some league wins there. Of course, IQSSL and all that. Was that good battle with Charlie again? So these races, I feel like I have Charlie racing around me a lot. It's pretty fun. But yeah, it'll be fun. I love dirt racing, man. It's I'm just hoping that we don't have a crash fest or a caution fest because we or at least caution laps don't count, so we get whatever 30 lap feature main green laps. So just gonna adapting to the track changing. That's the biggest part in dirt, and figuring out what line to put your car on. That's gonna be the biggest thing, is just, and from here it's just trying to get your braking points down, trying to get press the throttle and hit your apexes. There it's going to be all about throttle control and hitting the right lanes, probably around the bottom at Charlotte, maybe ripping the lip up at the top as well. That track's a really fun track. I love that Charlotte dirt track. But just overall, I love Charlotte. This Roval is probably my weakest point, but I still have fun racing around here, and I feel like I'm disciplined around here. I barely ever spin or hit the wall or destroy my tires. So yeah, it'll be really fun.
Certainly hoping for a lot of fun at the dirt track next week. But Cole, before we let you go on your second place finish tonight, is there anyone you'd just like to thank, and any sponsors, teams, or anyone you'd just like to give a shout out to for tonight's run and making it possible?
I just want to shout out Eel Media Racing, EMR, of course. Shout out to Shane DiMattoa for signing with us last night. Thank you to you for being up here lonely in the broadcast booth, broadcasting, I've quite literally, at some points it was interesting, but just a Vicente Salas domination rates. But yeah, I just like to thank them. Thanks Stealth Energy, Pella Gaming, and of course these custom diecasts coming on board once again for all of our races and supporting our team. And yeah.
Of course, Cole, the support is appreciated, and of course, we appreciate you for the time and taking the time to talk with this interview. Cole, congratulations on your P2, and of course, I'm excited to see what you can do at the dirt track next week, and of course, we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you, man.
Cole Williams, he finishes second here from the Roval tonight. Gonna look back to third, where we interviewed him just before the race, right? We were getting the green flag, poorly timed by me. I'd say that was my fault, but still, anyway, it is Aaron Mulrooney Jr. who comes home in this P3 and final interview spot. And Aaron, now just visiting you on pit road, he talked to you just before this race and just kind of the general information about the event, this 3-race event specifically. But now we've got this race under with. We got 30 laps under our belt. We're now out of here to the dirt track at Charlotte. First of all, just walk us through your expectations and kind of what you felt going on this track for 30 laps.
Yeah, honestly, Kenneth, we might be changing it up a little bit and actually heading to the Charlotte Oval next week with the B cars or the Xfinity cars after some racing feedback. Honestly, our number 2 Toyota Tundra was all right throughout the race. There was kind of some ups and downs. I spun at the beginning of the race. I don't know, setup wasn't very appealing to my driving style, a little bit on the tight side. I don't know, I'm just not a very fast road course racer, so this didn't appeal to me, but otherwise it was a decent race. Ended up finishing P3 and surviving any incidents, and I'm just happy to bring the car home in one piece.
And you brought it home in one piece. Certainly there was a lot of drivers around you that had a lot of struggles. I know you had a little bit of a mistake early in this race, but other than that, you really just kind of kept it clean. A lot of other drivers were having different mistakes, but I guess now, since we're going to the B cars on the oval, which I kind of, misled Cole Williams just a little bit in the dirt track. But nonetheless, what's kind of your expectations now going with that type of car that doesn't really have as much downforce on it, and now going to the oval section as opposed to being on this 17-turn twisty road course?
Honestly, my expectations aren't too high. It's, in my opinion, it's easier and better to drive than a road course. So I feel like the Xfinity car is going to be more solid. We'll definitely have more guys show up. And it'll be a more interesting race. It's definitely going to be tire saving and fuel strategy. So, I don't know. With racing in Charlotte, a lot of wild cards come into play.
Well, yeah, certainly at a track like this and those cars that are so challenging, it's always going to be a challenge. And, of course, the name of this Charlotte Challenge, of course. But, Aaron, before we let you go on your podium spot, I know there's a lot of people that you need to thank. So, who makes it happen for you each and every race?
honestly, I'd like to thank my dad for making the paint scheme, Kent State University for helping me set up this event, and I'd like to thank you for broadcasting, Kenneth. I appreciate it.
Well, certainly appreciate it from our side as well. Aaron, thank you so much for, of course, putting on this event, but nonetheless, for taking the time to talk with us. And we congratulate you on your P3 finish, and we just hope to see you next week when we go to the oval side on the B cars. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Aaron Mulrooney out of the booth. He is the final driver on our interview list and the final one to talk with before the end of this night. We usually would have a commentator alongside me to kind of recap things and give our initial thoughts, but I guess since it comes down to me, and just down to my initial thoughts, I'd say this race was very interesting. Of course, Vicente really held no mercy, kind of dominated the way he has done before, and he's just kind of got it done. $20 richer to him. He'll be going into the next race as we go with the Xfinity cars at the Charlotte Oval. It was initially planned to be the dirt street stocks at the dirt track, just a little bit outside of the Charlotte Oval, but nonetheless, we'll change it. We'll be good with that, and we'll be at the Charlotte Oval right here with the Xfinity cars. Next time around, that'll be next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll have that coverage live on the KBueno Racing Network, and of course, right after that race, you can tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll have coverage of the iRacing Bunge and Lawn Care Series and the 200 from the Daytona International Speedway. That will be their opening race, and of course, that will start their season for sure for season 3. Always excited to have that happen and to cover that series as well. But from all of us here, of course, a big thanks to Aaron Mulrooney for putting this show on, of course, for being really the main guy to host everything here. And of course, a thank you to Kent State University Sport Administration for helping Aaron along in his journey. And of course, for all of us here at the KBueno Racing Network, for Francisco Bacallao and Charlie Baier, Kenneth Bueno saying good night from the Charlotte Roval.